Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. That was Dr. K Boogie Woogie from Facebook. So somebody I love following, and he goes live 3 or 4 times a week. And so that was his presentation from a couple days ago. Welcome. It's March 12th, 2021. We're very glad you're with us today. Our agenda, we're going to start out with some success stories. I know 3 different people who've landed this week. We'll then go to our 30-second reductions. We'll have everybody put their information into the chat box. And then I will copy that information and get that information out to everybody this afternoon. After that, we'll go to our committee reports, workshop, job fairs, pit crew, interview success workshop, the career tip of the week, and then we'll hear from our speaker for the main event today. For those people on Zoom, if you would, if your full name is not in there, and I'm looking, well, right now it looks like everybody's got their full name in there, so I really appreciate that. It really makes things easy. But you can go and you can edit it by hovering over the little camera feature, and it should come up with a little rename button. So you can rename yourself. And then just underneath it, you can click on the little checkbox. It'll remember your name for future meetings. For those on Zoom, if you have questions throughout the presentation, just put them into the chat box. And for those on Facebook, please just enter your questions into the comment field. We'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. For those on Zoom, we ask that you use the remote. We ask that you use the speaker view, which is on the lower left-hand corner. And where that red arrow is, you can grab that white line and you can slide it back and forth to make the speaker bigger or smaller compared to the PowerPoint presentation, whatever works best for you. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your name, picture, and comments to appear. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. This group has been around since late 1990s, but in 2007, I took it over when the prior person who was leading the group had landed a job and said, who wanted to take over? And I think I scratched my face. He said, okay, Jeff, you're it. So I've been facilitating and leading the group since that time. In 2008, I started Career DFW, a website to help those who were unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, trying to put everything about your job search in one place. In 2012, after being invited to go to the White House, I launched CareerUSA.org to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It's available on Amazon. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. You'll hear more about that in just a few minutes. Well, we like to start the meeting off with success stories. I said we've got 3 people who have landed. The first landing that I'm aware of, and I know Sharon's not with us today, Sharon Borders landed. She's accepted a position with the University of Texas at Arlington as a coordinator special programs. It's a project management kind of position. It's in their Office of Technology, Governance, Risk, and Compliance. They're looking for somebody with PM experience. I want to give kudos to the pit crew. They gave me a grilling practice interview, which helped me readjust and be prepared for the UT Arlington's panel interview. I'm so glad I took advantage of this, and you'll hear more about the pit crew in just a second. So Sharon said, thanks again. And Sharon is our 33rd landing. Our next landing is with us. So Jose, tell us your story.
Sure. It's funny because I became unemployed by Christmas, and to be honest, I was kind of like sulking and took like a month off. And then finally in January, I said, okay, I gotta get in the game. And so I, of course, looked up Career DFW and then went back to Southlake and started doing that. Updated my resume and put it out on all the job boards. And lo and behold, the recruiter actually found me on LinkedIn. And thanks to updating everything on LinkedIn, I think that helped. Found this, it's a contract to perm job with NTT Data. It's a remote position. I'm working with a team out in New England. So they said it could, it's the goal really is after 3 months to go perm. It's a training position. I'll be training there. It's in the healthcare insurance industry, which is something new for me, but training is training the way I see it. So yeah, so I start on the 22nd. It was 4 interviews, which I found like odd. It was kind of like it was last week, 2 interviews on Tuesday, one at 10 in the morning, one at 2. And it was kind of like with the boss and a coworker. And then I met on Thursday. They asked me to do like a presentation, kind of like a interview, as well as meet with their VP in the afternoon. And then I had a behavioral interview on Friday. It was kind of like, okay, it was kind of back. And then of course, nothing, right? So then Monday, I'm like, wow, I figured I would hear back something. And lo and behold, as soon as I thought that, like 5:30 in the afternoon, I get an email. They were in East Coast time, right? So I figured, okay, it's 6:30. I figured they were gone for the day. And they're like, they want you. Can you start? Let's talk more. I'll send you paperwork tomorrow. So that I filled all that this week. And today I just got an email. Hey, what address should we send you the laptop? I'm like, okay, well, here you go. So that's good. I'm excited.
Well, Jose, congratulations. So you
Thank
said that the recruiter found, or somebody found you. Was that an internal recruiter?
It's actually a recruiting firm. So I'll be kind of like a consultant. And this is, again, new to me. I never really had done this. So I'm an employee of them for, I guess, the contract. And then after 3 months, then I'll become a perm employee of NTT Data, right?
Okay.
Obviously, everything would work it out.
And they found you because of your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, they were looking for a trainer, and they're like, hey, you know how you get the emails like, oh, your background's great, you should apply. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me more about the position.
Right.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give job seekers today?
Be enthusiastic on your interviews. Don't be Debbie Downer. I think that helped a lot. Every feedback that I got at the end, even the presentation I did, they're like, wow, you were very energetic, you kept us engaged, and we like that. So, and in the Zoom world, you have to be. I mean, that's you got to come across very likable and approachable, and I mean, you're going to be seeing these people at least through a computer monitor. On my case, right, it's a remote position for a while, so you definitely want to be able to kind of build a rapport. So everything you guys say, it's kind of like, it's always good because you think you know it, but you really don't. You got to really go back and kind of refresh your memory. And I know I had missed some of the training, so I went back to the YouTube channel, and that was really helpful. I can't say good things about, I can't say bad things about Career DFW. I think it's awesome, and you do a great job.
Well, thank you very much. All right, well, Jose, he's number 34. We have one more landing that I'm aware of, and Chick said, he emailed me this morning saying he probably couldn't be with us today, but Chick Lehan has landed. He began his search process almost 12 months exactly to the week. He's landed with Clear Eye Associates plus Optical. He started talking to him back in October of 2020, and then everything, actually probably 2021 is probably what he meant to say there. No, 2020, right, 2020. And who knows, I've been locked up too long here for a year now. He'll be working on a contract basis 2 days a week for the first 90 days and then transition to full-time on June 1st. He'll be the Vice President of Business Development, Revenue Growth, and Mobile Eye Care Services. So future plans include development, growth in Clear Eye Mobile Clinic, providing comprehensive eye exam and eyewear. He wanted to thank me for my unending dedication to help support others while they're in transition, and a special thanks for all the support. Eldon for his weekly updates, keeping him in tune, very beneficial to make sure you know what's happening and upcoming. He wanted to thank Mark McDonald, Walt Glass for what they do to help preparing for interview and adding confidence to their process, which is nothing short of amazing, and it truly is. A shout out to the supporting cast: Terry Sullivan, Locke Alderson, Carol Bukale, Kurt Vonnemeyer, Ruth Lipsky, Karen Edmondson, Tony Benasek, and Roxanne McKnight for her dedications. Very much appreciated. And for everybody who's in transition, stay positive, stay focused, utilize your resources, especially each other. Allow time to take care of yourself, both mentally and physically. Do the things that make you happy and keep you energized, like exercise, reading, your favorite sports, etc. Doing so helped him tremendously. I'm not saying goodbyes. I plan on staying engaged in the networking process. I know I'm here for you anytime I can help. Please feel free to reach out to him. So once again, sincerely appreciate everybody. Signed, Chick. So congratulations. I knew about this last week, but he called me up last week saying, well, it's almost about to happen. And I said, but I don't have the final paperwork yet. And I said, well, I come from the aspect of if you're not sure and you don't have that final paperwork and you haven't signed on the dotted line, don't announce it yet, because I do know of a couple of stories over the last several years where you got so close and then the job got pulled at the very end. So Chick, congratulations on that. Do we have anybody else? Any other landings that I'm not aware of?
Hey, Jeff, I got something.
Okay, Ernesto.
So I'm starting a new role on Monday. I'm going to be a software test engineer at E4D Technologies in Richardson.
Congratulations. How did they find you?
Well, I recently finished up another short-term contract, and the recruiting agency that helped me get that job set me up with an interview at E4D. Had a Teams interview last week that went really well, and then on Monday, the recruiter contacted me and said they wanted to hire me.
Well, that's great. And so, so the process was all within like a week?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
Okay. What tips? I mean, what was the interview process like?
Basically just asking about my experience and what with the last jobs I've had. And turns out the last probably 3 jobs I had all had key points that appealed to them.
Right. Okay. Well, very good. If you would, please be sure to put your put that information in the chat. Put down land it and then put your name and tell me where it is, and that way I can update the roster when I put it out this afternoon.
Will do. Thanks, Jeff.
Congratulations. Thank you very,
everybody.
very much. All right. Well, we've had a great day. Anybody else? Any other landings? Wow, 4 landings in 1 week. That's great. All right. Let's move on here. What we want everybody to do now is, if you will, please please open up the chat box, or if you're on Facebook, you can just put this information in the comment field. Please put your name, a comma, phone number, comma, email address, comma, position you're looking for, 2 or 3 target companies, and then hit the return key. That way, all the information is right together. I copy all that information over, and I will put it into an email that goes out this afternoon to everybody who's here today. And please take a look at it this afternoon or over the weekend and see who you can help. Try to help one person every day. So, put that in there. For those people who are on Facebook, I will go and delete your personal information off of Facebook right after the meeting. So don't worry about putting it in there. It'll only be there for an hour or 2, and then I will delete it as soon as the meeting's over with. So with 30 seconds on the clock. Y'all can just keep on going here. We're gonna move on. Oops. Oh, I've gotten way too far ahead of myself. Good morning, Eldon.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy Friday, everybody. My name is Eldon Zarinsky, and of course, I provide you with information on things that are happening this week and next week, career and job fairs in particular, and special workshops or events. I go through these items fairly quickly. They're all found on the website careerdfw.org. There it is on your screen right there. So if you hear something that catches your ear, I urge you to go to the calendar tab, click on the calendar tab and the subject matter part of the calendar tab that you're interested in, and then you'll find the event. And
Eldon, if I could jump in for just 1 second.
Sure.
I want to let everybody know that this week I've edited the calendar What you will not see anymore are any of the blue events. Like here, there's only one blue event now, is a networking meeting because they're meeting in person. So as groups start to meet back in person, I will add those back in on the calendar for the blue networking, the career networking meeting, people meeting in person. So just as an FYI, a lot of things disappeared this past week. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. This week's career and job fairs, it's fairly sparse, but there are two things that you ought to be aware of. The United Electronic Recycling event this Saturday, March 13th, will be at
St. Andrews
United Methodist Church, 5801 West Plano Parkway. I urge you to attend that, and they're also doing paper shredding, and there's a link to find out more about that. And there's another one of those events that's going to be held Saturday, March 20th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Christ United Methodist Church at 3101 Coit Road in Plano.
And I believe the one on March 20th is the one that offers paper shredding. So I know I loaded up, I've got a whole box of banker's box full of stuff I'm going to be getting rid of next Saturday. So I'll see anybody there who wants to shred some paper.
Yeah, they do that the note I have is third Saturday each month, and this is the location they're doing it this coming 20th. All right, special workshops or events. Online Networking Mondays, Monday, March 15th from 1 to 2:15 p.m. Join Career DFW and CareerUSA.org each Monday from 1 to 2:15 p.m. for a Networking Mondays. There's a Zoom link and a Facebook link on the calendar to participate in that. Online LinkedIn Tuesdays at 1 p.m. This is a rotating seminar between Locke Alderson, Terry Sullivan, Ruth Lipsky, and Kurt Vondermutter. And I urge you to participate in that. It's from 1 to 2:30 p.m. March 16th. Also on Tuesday online, the CSN Recruiter Roundup, March 16th from 6:45 p.m. to 8:45. And that features well-known recruiters, Gail Houston, Rex Showett, Abby Kohut, Paul Cameron, Rick Martinez, Andy Cook, Mary Leon, Shelley Casino. And there is a Zoom link on the calendar for that one. Also online, Interviewing Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Join Mark McDonald, leader of our pit crew, and Walt Glass Interview Success Workshop for their 13-part workshop on interviewing. They're going to start a guest lecture series in April, but this week is session 11 of their 13-part series, Networking Part 2, Target Companies and Informational Interviews. Again, that's Wednesday, March 17th from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Also online, Resume Thursdays with Carol Brickell, Certified Professional Career Coach. There's both a Zoom link and a Facebook link on the calendar to participate in that. And finally, Friday, March 19th from 7:40 a.m. to 9 a.m. This is the third Friday Internet of Things Special Interest Group Breakfast. And that's going to be, it's online right now. Friday, March 19th, 7:40 a.m. to 9 a.m. And if you have any interest in the Internet of Things and what's going on in the DFW area, I urge you to participate in that. It's hosted by Ed Hightower. And that's it for this week.
Eldon, thank you very, very much. All right. For those people, like I said, if you're looking to try to find other networking groups or other places that you can go that are doing webinars, just click here on the banner where you see that blue arrow, and up will come a calendar with all the events that are happening every week in purple. And those are the events. They all should have a web link or a way for you to monitor or see those feeds. If you know somebody who just lost their job, I guess the amount of people applying for new unemployment benefits fell this week to 713,000 or something. That's still 3 times of what it was a year ago at this time. So if you know somebody who just lost their job, please tell them to check out the websites CareerUSA or CareerDFW.org. And if they click on, I just lost my job, what do I do now? I've got a great one-page article with some links with some great things to help you get started in your job search. It's time to hear about the pit crew. Good morning, Mark.
Well, good morning, Jeff. And here we go. I just put in the chat window my contact information and the pit crew contact information. And so let me tell you a little bit about the Dallas Pit Crew. I see some people that I recognize and quite a few that I don't. So Pit Crew meets any day of the week. We give you virtual practice interviews. We're all about giving you a chance to learn what you don't know. I thought, let me look at the notes here. I thought the comments that were made, well, first of all, check practice several times, and Sharon practiced for the job that she actually landed. So that was very nice. But Jose had a lot of good things to say, you know, so come and practice being enthusiastic and engaged, and excited and energetic. You can come and practice that. He also something that I say all the time. You think you know it, but you really don't. Okay, so knowing is not doing. Knowing is not doing. So that's why you come and practice, even if you think you're good at it. And you don't have to have a job lined up. You know, a recruiter doesn't have to have called you. You don't have to be on your second or third round of interviews. Find a resume, a job description that looks good to you, your dream job, so to speak, and send that in your resume, and we'll give you a very customized and personalized interview experience based on that information that you provide. And the people who give the interviews, having trouble talking today. They are all in job transition, just like you, almost all. I'm retired and a couple of others are retired, but most of them are in job transition, just like you, and every one of them have been hiring managers. So they've hired people as part of their professional responsibility, and they'll take you through your paces, and then they'll also give you some feedback at the end on what you did well and what you might consider doing differently that would be more effective. So all about effectiveness. And this year we're focusing on also helping you make a connection with the interviewer. So how to build rapport. And as a matter of fact, last week during our weekly webinar on Wednesday afternoon, we talked about building rapport. And the week before, 2 weeks ago, we talked about showing enthusiasm. And then, so there you go. You can go to the YouTube channel and take a look at those. Next week, we're going to be talking about networking and informational interviewing. And as Eldon mentioned, the whole series of 13 wraps up at the end of April. And then May, we'll have some guest speakers, and then we'll start again. I'm sorry. The whole series ends at the end of March. April, we'll have guest speakers. And then the whole thing starts over again in May. And hopefully this may be the last cycle through, and we'll be meeting face-to-face after that. I put in the profile in the chat window my LinkedIn profile. So I encourage you to link in with me. Just send me a brief message that says, I saw you on North Dallas Career Focus Group, and that's good enough for me. I'll add you to my network. You guys probably know this. I just learned this a few months ago, that you can only see people on LinkedIn that are in your first or second degree connections. Actually, you can see first, second, and some thirds, but the size of your network determines how many people you see. So it's not at all like Facebook, where you could find anybody, in the world. On LinkedIn, it depends on who you're connected to, on what's visible to you. So the larger your network, the better off you are. And so link in with me and, add 2,500 or so people to your network. Thanks, Jeff.
All right. And then, like he said, next Wednesday at the networking interviewing Wednesday interview session 11, networking part 2, target companies and informational interviewing. All right. Good morning, Karen. It's time for the career tip of the week.
Good morning. The rules of finding a new job during the coronavirus pandemic are completely different from what they were a year ago, when the opportunities outnumbered the people looking for work. And going through a completely virtual hiring process was far from the norm. Here are 3 ways to shift your approach to find work in the recovering job market. First tip, forget what you know about finding a job. The best thing a job seeker can do is consider the new ways of working, applying, and interviewing as opportunities rather than barriers, and using them to your advantage. For example, With more companies supporting remote work and finding talent with non-traditional backgrounds, you may be able to apply for positions you previously weren't able to apply for. Do not underestimate your qualifications or work history. Research shows women are less likely to apply to jobs unless they feel 100% qualified for the role, whereas men are more likely to go for the role even if they feel they're not entirely qualified. A lot of times, the most successful people in a job are ones who haven't previously done exactly what they are being hired to do. Often, skills are transferable and may be a stronger match for the job than someone who's done the same job previously. Form a narrative around your accomplishments that relate to whatever job you're seeking. Create a few different versions of a resume for different industries or types of roles you're applying to, with each one highlighting skills you practiced in your past work and how they align with what you'll bring to a new job. Second tip, reverse engineer your job search. Start by coming up with a list of companies you'd like to work for rather than searching for new opportunities by job title. Think about whose work in your field you admire, what employers are known for a good place to grow your career, then connect with people in the organization. Check LinkedIn to see if you have any mutual contacts within the company. See if recruiters are available to field informational questions, or if former colleagues who have an in can make an introduction on your behalf. Your goal should be to build relationships within the company and understand why people enjoy working there, even if there may not be an open job at the moment. By building this relationship, you may be able to get on the radar of a hiring manager or recruiter when an opportunity does arise. New jobs are often circulated internally for referrals before they're posted publicly. So having an inside connection could get you in the running that much faster. Set weekly networking goals that are firmly within your control, like reaching out to 2 new people every week. It's not just who you know, but also who you can know. Build that network one person at a time. Tip number 3, don't be desperate. Hiring managers can detect desperation, and that puts you at a disadvantage, such as receiving a lowball offer. Instead, empower yourself as a candidate by positioning yourself to be a problem solver and solutions provider as opposed to just a job seeker. The distinction is subtle but powerful. A job seeker goes into an interview simply looking to fill an open role, whereas solutions provider goes in on a fact-finding mission to determine how their skills align with the problem the employer is trying to solve. What is the main objective of the job? What ideas can you bring to the table that will improve the role itself? And most importantly, how can you solve the employer's biggest challenge at hand, which is hiring the right person in a timely and cost-effective manner? Even if the role is outside your usual wheelhouse, focus on the tasks of the job that you find most purposeful. Managers are looking for people whose personal mission aligns with the company mission. In today's labor market, that could be as simple as seeing a service job as a means to providing personal connection and compassion to customers. Speaking to these values, especially if they align with the employer's mission, can tip the scales in your favor in a sea of qualified candidates. I wish you all the best success.
Karen, thank you very much. The career tip of the week comes from the Career USA and Career DFW websites. It's new every Saturday about 1 o'clock. A new tip will pop up there. So take a look at it. And Karen, thank you for reading it for us this week. All right, coming up in just a few minutes, we'll hear from our speaker, Networking in a Virtual World. And then we want to talk about some upcoming sessions next Friday, Communicating Your Self-Worth, Your Emotional Intelligence Matters. On the 26th, we'll be talking about effective networking. And then we'll have open forum on April 2nd, which happens to be Good Friday. We will have a meeting. And So we will be around for that date, and we'll just do open forum. We'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. Oops. So time to hear from our speaker here. Elizabeth, it's really sort of amazing. She was our speaker 1 year ago tomorrow. So 52 weeks ago, she was our speaker here on a Friday. She was our first speaker who said, you know, I don't really feel comfortable leaving the house. We still met in person that week, and it actually was the last week we met in person. And so it's sort of it's hard to believe it's been a whole year, but I'm glad that hopefully things, maybe next year she'll be talking to us in person. So Elizabeth is an executive coach, speaker, and consultant to the most powerful executives that keep corporate America rolling. She's also a 3-time author with her latest book, Hear Us Roar, Unapologetic Women Leading in Corporate America, making a big splash. Her other books are Recession Proof Yourself and I Quit Working for You Isn't Working for Me. She's an award-winning coach for innovative and being a game changer. Elizabeth's specialty is helping clients land the promotion, find a new job, or simply bring their leadership game to the next level. She knows why somebody's hired, fired, or promoted before they do. And during the pandemic, Elizabeth's clients have found better jobs, increased salaries, and less time applying for jobs online than through her by using her coaching program and webinars. I distinctly remember the one thing I talk about all the time when I do a presentation is, oh yeah, there's just one speaker who said, I asked everybody I talked to on the phone, why do you want to work here? If you can't answer that question, you don't get moved on. And that comes from Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, thank you for being with us today, and that's all yours.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate that. Hey, Jeff, do you have the slides loaded? Can I just prompt you and have you advance them?
No, but I can, give me a second here and I will get them.
Do that. I got a couple of things I can start with that I like to share with all of you. First of all, Karen, I loved the tips. I thought they were very dead on. So thanks for sharing that with the group. So a couple of things. I always like to talk about the market. And I've been watching it very carefully, like many people are, obviously. The articles I'm seeing the last 30 days are very interesting because they talk about large corporate America has better start retaining their top talent, because in the next 3 to 9 months, your competitors are going to call and try to get your people. We're definitely seeing that in banking and financial. We're definitely seeing that in some of the larger companies now. I just got off the phone with somebody that left Global Payments, and she took a job in a medium-sized company. So they're showing that the job market is definitely started to shift and change. The other thing, the prediction that I saw, and I actually posted this on my LinkedIn, it was an article I posted around the recession and how we're starting to slowly move out of that. And the other thing that they talked about was stocks would be very volatile until the end of the year. And you will see companies do some start-stop with the hiring. So what does that mean to you? You may get all the way to the place where you're going to offer, and then all of a sudden they kill the job. They're not going to fund it. They don't have budget all of a sudden. That thing's been posted for 3 months. You're going to see that sort of stop-start in the job market. So don't be discouraged. Just keep going. And nothing is really certain until you clear backgrounds and have a start date. Nothing. So just keep moving, keep moving, keep moving would be my advice to you. So today what we're going to talk about is networking in a virtual world. And go ahead and advance the slide for me, Jeff. And so what we're going to talk about today is really how to take your job search to the next level. We'll talk a little bit about video interviews. We'll talk a little bit about, I'm getting calls, but I'm not getting to last round, or I'm not getting an offer, or I need to get some calls. It's not happening for me. There's this particular thing that when a client goes through my program that I advise, and it's worked really well. So we'll go through that. It's called the LinkedIn campaign. We'll talk about that too. So my name's Elizabeth Lyons. I am the author of 3 books, as Jeff had mentioned. My space is career coach. I was thinking about this. I was a career coach before anybody was a career coach. I wrote a job search book when there was no job search books out there, clear back in like 2009. I was thinking about that, how much online publishing has changed and coaching has changed, et cetera. So I've been in the game a long time. I think that's what's going to separate me out. The other thing that's going to set me out is I'm still in the game. So I have a coaching practice, but I actually work in in a very large banking and financial company, and I hire every day, all day long. I do the work of about 2 recruiters. And so my job is not just talent selection, but actually advising on the hire and working with the vice presidents, directors, and managers to make that selection and present the talent, sell the talent, help make the evaluation, et cetera. So as a coach, that gives me an advantage because I know why hiring managers are hiring or declining candidates. And so all of that I bring to the table along with all the years I've done this work. I can't believe it. I think it's getting close to 20 years now. So anyway, that's why I think I'm a little different. A lot of coaches out there now. I think that's just what kind of distinguishes me. Last thing I'm very proud of that I do want to mention was I won an award for my coaching in 2020, and it was called the Game Changer Award. And it was for the innovation around coaching and some of the content that I had delivered to WNET, which is Women in Payments. So thanks Women in Payments for nominating me and giving me the award. I think that's the other place where I'm a little bit different. Next slide, please. All right. So we're going to talk about a couple of things here. So we're definitely going to talk about the camera, and I know that we've all done some video interviews and we're getting more comfortable with this Zoom thing. I think there's some good reminders here. Again, the idea is to kind of bring you to your next level in your game so that you stand out above the other video interview candidates. So we'll talk about video interview calls. We'll talk about, logistics, where to put your camera, why, presentation, how things work on video, how you appear. And I'm going to show you subtle pieces around that. And then we'll also talk lastly about what I call LinkedIn campaigns. So this is really about how to either bring your networking to the next level or how to find the hidden job market, and all of which I think everybody would want to know about. Next slide, please. So one of the questions I like to poll, and I like to, if you'd like to pop it in the chat, that would be great. During a video call or a video interview, what makes you the most anxious? And if we could just take a peek in the chat, I'd like to know what bothers you about them. Losing connection. I love it. Very good. I'd be worried about that too. No reaction. Okay. Anyone else? Think about that. You're on mute. Okay. That's really forgivable now, but I get it.
Lack of trust.
Here we go. Great, guys. Thanks for popping in here. Tough reading interviews, people talking over each other, looking washed out. Feel like I don't present myself well. So I'm going to give you a little boost there. Body language at the wrong time. How am I coming across? Anyone else?
My mannerisms. On a recorded interview, when watching it back, I seem to be blinking. Like I had no idea I was blinking, kind of weird.
Okay. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Let's roll through some of this stuff. So I call this cam glam. So this is a very simple way to kind of bring your presentation to the next level or to gain some confidence. So first thing is try to find that private, quiet room with no dogs barking in the background as best as you can. You want a fairly well-lit place. I'm looking at myself, it's too well lit. Like the overhead light is a little bit too light. And so I'm gonna need to have to work on that. I'm in a different room today. My biggest key from the beginning of the pandemic is background, 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 background. So I'm in my home office, and the quotation vibe I was going for today was professional yet conversational. I want to be approachable. I want, and it worked. You guys went in the chat. So I want to be able to people ask questions, but I also want to present myself as a professional and an expert in my field, which I am. But this sort of a setting makes you feel like you know a little bit something about Elizabeth Lyons. There's some art behind me. There's a computer behind me. So clearly it's an office. Believe it or not, people will key into your background more than they actually will you on camera. And it gives subtle presentations, it gives subtle messages to the interviewer. So think about that a little bit. You know, and if you're in those interviews, what kind of, it's marketing, what kind of message are you sending? before I do formal speaking events, I very, very carefully choose what I'm going to wear and how it'll look on camera and all of those things I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about my audience, what color I should wear or not wear. You know, literally, is my audience all men? Is it executive men? Is it a mix of women and men? Is it a women's only group? I'm thinking about my audience. And so it's a little bit difficult because you're going to have to do a little research on the company to try to get the feel of their culture, which is hard from reading online. Your best bet is to have a background that says something about you, but not too much. So, I mean, some of the best backgrounds a year ago were people that sat in front of bookcases, and they actually do look pretty cool from a visual effect. Other people will put Zoom screens behind them. That I don't like as much, because if you move your head or to show something up in front of the camera, there's a distortion there and it can get weird. I was on a video call with somebody who had one of those, and her hair started doing this very weird thing in the background. It's very distracting. Hard for me to take it seriously. So think about your background is all I'm saying. Don't overanalyze it, but think about your background. Think about what you're wearing. For women in the audience, lipstick is your friend, you know, and the bolder the better. So if you're in the mirror and you're like, ooh, I normally may not wear that shade, it's probably going to present really well on camera. Jewelry, large pieces of jewelry. This is very, very shiny and ornate, but large pieces of jewelry are fantastic, and they give a nice pop on camera, and it's professional without being distracting. And I think that's what we're kind of going for here in my message. Professional, but yet not distracting. Totally okay to have a pen, a notebook, something handy. Totally okay to look down and jot a note, or say, give me 1 second, I'm going to jot a note here. It's okay to do that on video interviews. It's totally fine. I would suggest it even, because it shows that you're listening. It shows that you're engaged. Hand gestures when appropriate. If you can see yourself on camera, or you have some sort of a video recording of yourself, you're going to get a sense of what you do. Like the comment prior was, I might be blinking too much and I don't know what that's about. I've spent a lot more time on camera the last year than I probably ever have. And maybe 3 to 5 years before that, I started shooting video clips of myself. When the pandemic happened, for me to go on camera wasn't a big deal. In fact, I had the competitive edge. But I remember looking at video film and being like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that I did this or that. And it's good. It just makes you understand your gestures, etc. If you're too stiff, they're going to pick that up too. So I want to show you also some subtle body language, and we would get to that further in the slides, but I think it's important. So when you're interviewing, I think it's good to look engaged, but not intense. And like, you know, if I'm leaning in, I mean, you can feel that, right? I'm listening to you. If I'm back here and my arms, I mean, I also do a 3/4 shot. So you can see I'm sitting and I'm resting and I'm comfortable. My arms are out like this. I'm open to information. I'm, you know, if I'm like this, you know, I'm thinking, I'm thinking when I do this. That's how I know when I'm doing this. There's different subtle body perceptions. If I'm this, my back is very, very, very straight, a little bit intense and rigid. If I'm too close to the camera, it's too intense. I want you, when you get on camera, before you go live, look at your body language and what is your body language saying? When I'm like this, I'm not, you know, my arms are folded. I'm like this. That's not the right message I want to send. Your body language on camera and in interviews matters. I've yet to hear one coach or person talk about this. It was really kind of important, because it gives you a feeling of, well, it gives you a feeling, you know, you're not a talking head on a screen. It gives you a feeling, and the interviewer wants a feeling for who you are. And there's a lot of grace period right now, even a year later with the pandemic and the Zooms and all that. If you're on mute, that's okay. It happens all the time. I think it's about being warm and cordial and evoking who you are, as well as answering the question. So I wanted to kind of go over that, because the subtle ways I move my body or I move my hands when I'm talking give you that impression. Sometimes when I'm very emphatic, I start using my hands. For the women in the audience, if you're going to use your hands, maybe you do want a little nail polish on or some jewelry on, again, to get attention but not be distracting. I want you to look at the picture down at the bottom here. She didn't do that much. What she did was she tipped her laptop, which I'm doing right now. I can do all kinds of stuff. I can take out that computer behind me. So now you're just seeing this great piece of art and me. And I do 3/4. I like that. Not every, I don't see people doing that typically. You can come a little closer. She didn't do much. That's all she did was she tipped her laptop camera. She changed her overhead lighting slightly, and she added lipstick. And it's a totally different look. And she's smiling. She's a little bit more relaxed in one versus the other. So again, whenever I give this advice, somebody inevitably gets overly conscious about how they look or how they're presenting. I don't want you to do that. I just want you to take one or two things and just bump it up and bring it to the next level and practice. When the pandemic started, my husband, Steve, went in one room and I went in the other room and I called him on Skype and I was like, what does this background look like? And he was like, tip your camera here or there. Oh, that's perfect. That looks really good. I know what I look like in every room in the house and on my patio. And then I think about my audience. If I'm on a team call on a Friday, I'm on my patio. And there's a very cool artsy background behind me, but I'm outside. Okay, that's the feeling I'm trying to evoke. If I'm doing 4 video calls in a row with my team or my manager, I'm in here. If it's 3 o'clock, it's afternoon, and I got a one-on-one with a VP or a director, and I'm going to be on camera, many a day you will find me on my red couch. And I'm on my red couch, and behind me there's another really cool piece of art. So there's a cool background behind me. And we've tried it in different places all over the house, but I know like 4 places where I can go. Lighting's good, background's good, and it's going to send a different message about who I am based on my audience. That makes sense? Let's go to the next slide. So let me just get down to some specifics. So even a year later, I know I keep saying that, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So don't sweat it. You do want to think about your camera speed, your microphone, and mute. So camera speed is a factor. The biggest thing I learned early in the pandemic was Wi-Fi speed was a factor. And we all think, oh, I got to call the cable company and get faster bandwidth. I got to get more coming in. The irony is you may not be able to access that. So what we ended up doing was we bought our own router and upgraded it for a few bucks. It wasn't very expensive, but it allowed us to get more traffic coming in and split the traffic because we had devices going. And I'm in a really small house. I'm in like, I don't know, 1,400 square foot house. I'm not in a huge house at all. And we didn't think we had a lot of devices, but it was eating up a lot of bandwidth. So before you call your cable company and go, yeah, for 20 bucks or 30 bucks more up my speed, your speed may not be the issue. So go and look at your router and try to get figure out what's coming in, what's your throughput and what's your output. There's quick devices on the computer that you can actually run to figure this out. I don't know what they are. My husband did it, but it made a big difference for us, and I was very thankful. The computer I have is a specialized computer that a gamer would use, or somebody that is doing very high level graphics would use. So I have a huge graphic card in mine, and I bought my laptop like that with that kind of an upgrade because I knew I was going to do a lot of webinars many years ago. So again, when the pandemic happened, I was in a good place there. We talked a little bit about background. We talked about gestures and body language. So you get the idea, but this is kind of a good recap to go back to. Next slide. Body language, we talked about that. So a couple of things I want to touch on here again is that lean in, lean out to the camera. That leaves a perception. Eye contact, I should probably address that too. You might be more used to it now, you should be, but when you're looking at someone or you want to give that sensation, you're going to do exactly what I've been doing the last 10 seconds, which I'm looking into the actual light. And for me mentally, when I trained myself to do this, I pretended in my mind that when I looked into that light on the camera, that little tiny light, that was a portal into people. I mean, that sounds silly, but I had to think like, how am I connecting with people? Because otherwise, what was the big complaint a year ago? I feel like I'm staring at a screen. I don't feel like there's a person out there. This is really weird. So I had mentally trained myself to realize that if I want to connect with someone that, or to look in their eyes, and I can't see their eyes, this is the way to do it. So that's how I kind of worked my mind around that so I could become more natural. So too much eye contact's intense, not enough in the interviews, not going to be good either. You want to kind of hit your happy medium there. And then again, remember, you can adjust your laptop like I have today to give it a different perception. Before I get on any call, that's what I'm doing. I'm fiddling with that. And I'm looking behind me at what they're going to be seeing more than I'm looking at what I look like. And I'm trying to get the whole frame captured there. And I'm adjusting the light with my laptop. Next slide, please. All right. So now we're going to move on to the next part of the presentation. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I call a LinkedIn campaign. This has been wildly successful with my clients the last few years. I use it typically at the very high executive level where they need to find the hidden job market, or they just need to get their networking to the next place because they've spent a lot of years working day in and day out and they don't have a robust network anymore, or it's kind of fallen apart. They didn't put into their network because they were working, now they're out of a job and it's an issue, or they're in a job search. So this is when I typically bring this out. I brought this out quite a bit in the pandemic and it's worked magic in terms of finding the hidden job market. Two of my last clients they got jobs so fast due to my coaching, we couldn't even get through the full 8 weeks. It was fantastic. So, and the one guy landed a job at Amazon. The other one got her perfect job. There was this idea she had in her mind, profile of the company, profile of the culture, and through the coaching, she ended up there very quickly. This was a part of what we used. So what is the LinkedIn campaign? So the LinkedIn campaign is really about going through your LinkedIn. And the first thing that you're going to want to do there is clean it up. So what do I mean by that? If you have contacts and you don't even recognize their name, that's not a contact. I mean, that's great for Facebook or some other social media where you're just trying to gain followers. The whole point of LinkedIn is professional contacts. So the first thing I would say is go through your LinkedIn. And when you look at every name, I want you to think, do I know them? Do I know them really well? If I sent them an email right now, do they recognize me? And that's going to start to shift out very quickly what's garbage in your LinkedIn and what's real. And don't feel funny if you find yourself purging a lot of contacts. That's okay to do that. The second thing you want to think about is it a hot contact? Is it a warm contact? Or is it a cold contact? Hot contacts, you may not have a lot of them. I mean, for me personally, I don't know how many I would have. Maybe I don't think they're hot, and they probably are hot contacts. Hot contacts are people that know you, like you, will endorse you, will help you. You're not intruding on them if you send them something through LinkedIn. If you may not have talked to them in 2 or 3 years, but you know them and you're comfortable with them and they know you and they can attest to your work. That's a hot contact. A warm contact is just that. I know them, they like them. I haven't talked to them in 5 years, 10 years. I mean, I have clients, old clients from over a decade ago. I would personally place them in the warm category, right? I've helped them, I've served them. You know, that was a client, but I've lost track with them. I don't know what they're up to now. Same thing with maybe people that you worked with in a previous job back, and it's been 5 years or so. That's a warm contact. Cold is what I first described. I don't even know who these people are or why they're in my LinkedIn. You start to separate that out and you start to really figure out who's hot and who's cold. Now you really have an understanding of what's in your LinkedIn. And going back to where do you use this? You can use this to reconnect with someone. You can use this to invigorate your job search, meaning I've applied to everything I can apply to this week. There's nothing else out there. So in order for me to move my search to the next level, this is an activity I would engage in. Or you're looking for the hidden job market. You know, you're an executive or you're in a specialized field like maybe audit or tax, where there's not a lot of jobs out there, but there's also not a lot of qualified people applying to them. But there are companies that always need your skill set. And so there's ways that you can find that hidden job market. So what you do is you sort through all the contacts, figure out hot, cold, medium. And then what you do is you approach them. Let's go to the next slide. I'll show you what that looks like. So before you do this, the most important thing I can tell you is have a purpose. Every day, all day long, I get very bizarre things in my LinkedIn, and I notice they're right after I post a video and 1,000 people have looked at it. All of a sudden, I have these very weird invites like, hey, Elizabeth, I saw we have some common connections. Let's connect. Why? You know, oh, I know why. You sell financial services products. Not connecting with you. I find these very bizarre ways of trying to get in my network, which are really all about them or selling me something. This is why people often don't respond to other people in LinkedIn. I mean, think about it. Have you gotten some weird stuff in your LinkedIn? And what is the cadence of that? And when you really dive down, who are these people? What is their motivation for wanting them to connect? That's the important piece. So I can't stress it enough. Your words as well as your intention when you do this exercise are critical. So yes, you want help, but you also want to share your network and you want to connect, you know, but before you go in front of anybody, have a purpose. So this is something that I've constructed that works really, really well. So this is like a hot contact, right? I know Sam, you know, I know her very well, you know, she's a colleague. She likes me. She trusts me. She knows my work. I feel the same about her. I definitely advocate for her. If Sam came to me and was like, hey, can you help me with my job search? I'd be like, absolutely. What do you need? You know, do you want my network? I'll help you. I need to know so-and-so. I would help Sam. So because of that, I would add one line of something personal there. During the pandemic, I think it's respectful and a really good idea to be extremely sensitive. So, you know, hi, Sam, I hope this note reaches you happy, healthy, and well. Hasn't this been a crazy year? It's personal, it's warm, and it's sensitive because I'm going to go on a soapbox here for a second. You don't know what's going on in Sam's life. You don't know. You don't know if her mother-in-law just died of COVID. I'm not kidding you. You don't know if Sam is trying to homeschool her children and it's not going well that day. You don't know if Sam's husband was just laid off. You don't know if, you know, Sam's trying to get on a vaccine list or trying to get her mother on a vaccine list or her father who is elderly. It's very important that we are graceful with each other right now, because the pandemic is not a pandemic. We are having a human experience. This has crossed everything, all races, all creeds, all colors, all countries, all states, all towns. We're all going through it worldwide. So when you approach someone, you don't know where you just dropped into their life. I can't even begin to tell you the stories or the messages I get where people have to cancel appointments with me and what's going on in their life. That's why I say, be careful. I know you want a job. I know you have a deep need. I know you're scared about money. Be careful in your approach. Next paragraph. I'm in a confidential job search right now, and I'm looking for a director of a marketing position within a large company in high tech or fintech. What does that mean? What I've done was I didn't say, do you know anybody? I didn't say, I need a job. I didn't say, you know, I didn't say that. I was very clear. This is the title I'm looking for. This is the area I'm looking for. These companies are my target. My specific targeted list includes American Express, Microsoft, and Global Payments. I trust your judgment and would really like your input around my job search. You didn't ask them for contacts. You didn't ask him for anything. You just said, I trust you would give me some advice. What you really want is you would really like some entree into some companies that are on your target list. That's best case scenario, but we're not asking for that. We're asking for a 15-minute call. Everybody has time for a 15-minute call. Everybody. And then you tell them what times might work. So it's not floating out there. Would you have a time for a 15-minute call? That does not evoke response. It also doesn't evoke response from me when you don't know what you want. Hey, I'd like to network. Why? I'm busy. I got stuff to do. Even in a pandemic, I got stuff to do, right? I don't have motivation for that. We have a lot of shared contacts. I don't really care. That doesn't motivate me either. I mean, think about your purpose. Why are you there? And you want it specific enough that you're going to evoke a response, but not too specific that they're like, I can't even help them. I'm not going to write back. So you get the gist here. Now this is for a hot contact. Same thing for a warm contact. Really, it's the same kind of approach. You're just asking for 15 minutes. And when you get on the phone, you may or may not directly ask for contacts. I have clients that are extremely shy, that do not feel comfortable with this kind of a bold approach at all. And so what I say to them is, don't ask them for a network or for a lead into that company. Or maybe that contact is working at a company, they would like a job. Don't ask for that. Then ask them general questions around the job market. Ask them general questions around that company they're sitting in. How are things going there? Just start a conversation, even if it's big, broad, general conversation, just to kind of warm things up. And you get to disclose as much as you want. So if you're not comfortable going, right for the kill and asking for the contacts, there's other ways to do that and still network and still get out there and still connect. Next slide. Okay, so why is networking important right now? It's very important. It's important that we stay connected. It's really easy to have the network die off. It's very important when you're in job search. There's a supportive aspect around it. There's a community aspect around it, which kind of surprised me the last few weeks. I had thought myself that I didn't have community. And then I had a couple extraordinary things happen and I was like, I totally have community, and so I think we forget that because now we're all online, or our definition of community is different now because of the way it shows up. It doesn't mean it's not there. The professional networking is really important because it was funny. I just had this conversation with somebody who ironically left publishing a number of years ago because she said I couldn't watch the news because it was so biased and I just didn't want to be a part of it anymore. I find that when I read an article or if I watch the news, it's extremely one-sided, but there's this whole other chunk of what's left out. And so the networking is important because you're getting experiential knowledge. You're not reading it. You're not having to decipher what's real and what's not and get a nugget of truth. You're not biased, reading only what you want to read, which cuts out all the stuff that you don't agree with, right? And so when you're networking, you get a better sense of what's going on in the job market or in the economy or even in the stocks. I said something very interesting to a vice president yesterday. We were talking about some extremely hard fill requisitions that I had. And I said, let me tell you something. If you really want to know what's going on, do not listen to one thing that happens in our company. Go online and see what the analysts on Wall Street are saying. Because that is a direct impact to what we're doing inside here. What we're doing inside here is not impacting that. It's actually the opposite. So if you really want to know what's happening, go look there. So it's good to get a rounded approach of what's happening. And I personally find whether it's about the vaccine rollout or the pandemic or anything, like businesses, how many of you lost in Dallas? If I get in my car and drive around, I know what's going on rather than something that I just heard on the news. Same thing with the job search. I'll go call 5 or 6 people and be like, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? And it's very interesting what you get. Now you're getting a well-rounded approach. The networking is going to help you to do that. Absolutely going to help you to be more informed so then you can make choices for your life. And I think right now that's really important with what we're faced with all these challenges. Last slide. I think it's the last slide here. Okay, that was kind of it for me. So whenever I do these groups, I always invite them into my LinkedIn. You're more than welcome to connect with me, but please say that you saw me here today, so then I know where you came from. And then the second thing I always offer Jeff's group is if you'd like to connect with me and spend 15 minutes, have a coaching session with me, you are more than welcome to do that. I book by appointment only. And what I ask is that you come to the call with at least 2 questions. So come to the call with stumbling in your job search, or something that's concerning to you. I'll answer what I can. If my program is appropriate to you, we'll talk about that. If it's not, I will tell you. There's a lot of times where I have calls with people where I can give them a little nugget or 2 of advice. They go and do that, and boom, the phone's ringing and they're getting interviews or they're getting offers. So I'm happy to do that as well. My program isn't right for everybody, and I don't take all clients. So, and that's a good thing for you. So anyway, if you'd like to book some time with me, please feel free to do that. Ask for that on LinkedIn, and I'll see if I can't squeeze you in either over the weekend or early next week. Thanks for having me. Sure appreciate
Elizabeth,
it.
we did have a question. Jason asked, is setting up time for a call, is it good to have some online scheduling feature like Calendly or something else?
Yeah, I don't have that because I'm really picky. I don't like, I like to manage my own camera or calendar and do it on the fly, but some people do have that and do use that. It's a great tool. And actually in the chat, I'll even, and then some of you are confidential or just want to come to me an email with something quick, you're more than welcome to do that as well. And then this is the big thing. I got to point you here. That's me. That's the site. You'll see some cool videos on there and all kinds of stuff on there.
Okay, I'm not sure who you sent it to because I don't see it. It didn't come in my chat.
Okay, hang on. Let's try it again.
Here we go. Linology.com.
That's my email address for those of you that you just want to be confidential or shy or what have you. You just want a one-on-one with me. That's fine too. If you want to book an appointment, go ahead and email me. And then my LinkedIn, you'll find me. I'm Elizabeth Lyons, Alice. It's not too many Lyons with my last name spelling, but that's definitely the key.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you very much. Great information. Thank you for your time. And it's hard to believe it's been 1 year and what we've gone through in the last year. And hopefully next year we'll see you in person when we're meeting together in person again.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I think we're slowly coming out of it. The economy's starting to show that. And to all the job seekers out there, just keep going. I know it's tough sometimes, but do not give up hope. I mean, it's out there, and it's only going to get better. Frankly, this market is only going to heat up and get better.
Right. Well, Elizabeth, thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right. So coming up next Friday, our speaker is going to talk is Jane Ryan. Many of you have heard she's spoken at South Lake. She's spoken at Frisco Connect, communicating your self-worth, your emotional intelligence matters. So please, you can join us next Friday at 9:30. Oops, let's see here. For those people who have not done so, please put your 30-second introductions, put your information in the chat box or into the comment field on Facebook. I will copy all that information and get that all out to everybody in email this afternoon. So a name, phone number, email address, position you're looking for, a couple target companies, and then hit the return key. And I will copy all, like I said, I'll copy all that and put that on there. For those on Facebook, if you put the information in, I will go and delete your personal information right after the meeting. All right, hopefully you'll join us. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on programming every day of the week now, Monday through Friday. So next Monday, our speaker is John McDormand. Many of you remember him from, I think it's Douglas Baptist Church or Douglas, I forget what the church was down at Douglas and Northwest Highway. He used to run the Monday night career transition workshop every Monday night. I know I got a job networking with people who were there. It was really pretty amazing fun. He's a very uplifting and funny speaker to listen to. So that'll be next Monday. We do networking Mondays every Monday at 1 o'clock. I've got 12 or 14 different speakers lined up for the next few weeks. So, please join us, different speaker every week to hear something a little bit different angle. On Tuesday, our speaker is Terry Sullivan. He's going to talk about how to create a brand that tells your key contacts who you are, what you do, and how you can help. This event will not be recorded. He doesn't want the recordings. He'd rather you come and hear it live from him. So if you want to see this, you will have to join us live. Next Wednesday, as Mark mentioned earlier, session number 11 of 13, networking part 2, target companies and informational interviews. So we'll be talking about a few different things next week. And then next Thursday, effective resumes. We'll have resume tips and tricks. And I know that Carol has a guest speaker who's going to be joining her to co-present. So that'll be happening next Thursday. This session has been recorded, along with most of the sessions we get to do. It will be on the Career FW Facebook page, but even easier, if you go to the Career USA YouTube channel, it will be much easier for you to view and see. And it looks something like this on the Career USA YouTube channel. Make sure you click on playlist. That way you'll see I've grouped all these by sessions, and then down underneath you can pick effective resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn. For the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, don't click on the video where you see Eldon's face, but click down below where that red arrow is. It says View Full Playlist, and then up will come a list of all the events with the title of what we talked about that week. So you can go back and you can catch up on anything you may have missed, or if you need some help with something. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you one day next week.
Thank you.
Jeff, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Have a good
Thanks for being
weekend.
with us.
Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.